Commander, a format that everybody loves, which is why it's on Arena. A lot of people enjoy playing Commander because it takes away from the traditional competitiveness of your traditional formats, and it allows you to be more social, but more importantly, it allows you to kind of express yourself through the decks that you create. And Crimson Vow brings a lot of popular archetypes and creatures that people get to upgrade their decks with. We're talking vampires, we're talking zombies, humans, and we've got the occasional frog and demon kind of flying around every now and then. And Crimson Vow brings a lot of value. And I'm going to share my thoughts on a couple of cards that I think you should pick up, whether you're looking to upgrade your deck now, whether you're looking to upgrade your deck in the future, or if you're looking to even play the market a little bit and see what cards might go up in value in the future. So here are my top 10 cards that I think you should pick up for Crimson Vow. Let's get started with number 10. I'm going to start off by cheating a little bit because this is not really a single card. It's really 5 to 10, and I'm talking about the dual lands from Crimson Vow and even Midnight Hunt, if you will. Now, the reason I think these dual lands are pretty good is because it doesn't care about the lands that it sees when it comes into play. You only need 2 lands and it comes in untapped, and you get the color fixing that you potentially need for your commander deck. And again, it's really important. It doesn't care what those lands are. It doesn't care about if it's a basic, non-basic, if it's a dual land, or if it's just a basic land. It just needs to see 2 lands and you've got an untapped land tapping for 2 separate colors. Now, right now, these cards are going for about $3 to $5, which probably is exactly what it will be worth for quite some time. But I think over time, these cards will potentially go up in the future. And if you're still unsure whether to pick these up, I think that they are still worth picking up because I honestly think that at best they stay at their current value, and in the future they could go up. So honestly, probably picking them up now is your best choice. At number 9, I have Laid to Rest. Now, I know Laid to Rest is an uncommon card, but we have seen uncommon cards spike up in value and even hold more value than rares. I mean, if you just look at the current standard meta, Expressive Iteration, I think it's still holding about $7. And chances are it's going to remain at that price because it's also a modern staple. But again, we've seen uncommons shoot up, whether it's because they become modern / commander staples, or whether they have all of a sudden a spot to play in commander. And I think Laid to Rest is potentially one of these cards. But even if you don't think it's going to go up in value, if you have a human deck or a +1/+1 counter deck, I think this could be a really good enchantment that you should consider putting in. At number 8, I have Hallowed Haunting. Now, I originally thought I was going to put this a little bit higher on the list given how strong of an effect it is, but I realized that enchantment decks have been around for a very long time. There's already a lot of powerful enchantments, and a lot of them tend to be in the white section of the color pie. But this card is still very good because even if your creatures are big, giving them keywords Flying and Vigilance, if they don't have it already, is super strong, especially in Commander where evasion is important when you're trying to manage Planeswalkers for a Super Friends deck, or you're trying to combat other Flying Commander decks. And this also brings in creatures that probably are going to be big in this type of deck. So even though there's already a lot of good enchantments that have some type of effect like this one is still very strong, and I think a lot of enchantment based decks that are in the white color pie will be happy to shoehorn this in. Now, I'm a little unsure if this will go up in value in the future, but I think picking them up now is still a very good choice. At number 7, I'm gonna cheat again just a little bit, but it's only because these cards serve the same purpose, and that is Geralt, Visionary Stitcher, and Necro Duality. And the reason they're both in this slot and why I was unsure if I would place one over the other is because they both support zombies in a very strong way. Geralt is really good for zombies because it gives all zombies flying. I mean, Geralt is just an insane card, and I think he will just go up in value in the future, as I don't think there are going to be many other cards that have a strong static effect for zombie decks like this, and this came out at a really good time, seeing as that we got the Will Helt commander deck from Midnight Hunt, and Geralt is just a perfect card to just shoehorn into that deck if you pick that card up. And Necro Duality, again, another perfect card for a Will Held commander deck if you pick that up. It is just a strong effect. It's a little bit unique. I don't know a lot of cards that have this specific effect where you duplicate zombies the moment they hit the battlefield. It's an enchantment, so it'll be a little bit harder to remove, because most people, when they play removal spells, are looking at board wipes in terms of creatures. So even if your board does get wiped, you still have a powerful enchantment to kind of rebuild, and in some sense rebuild faster. So I think these cards are definitely going to just go up in the future as we see more zombies that come out in the future of MTG. And at number 6, I have Jacob Halkin. Now, I originally didn't put this on this list, and then I played against Jacob in Sealed, and I just realized the value that he gets is insane. Both sides just give some form of value, and there's nothing more than blue players love than value. I mean, value. That is what this card is all about. And I think it will be hard for people to decide if they want to remove this or slow this card down, because it's a 0-2. It's not going to pressure their life total. It's not going to pressure their current board state. But again, because it gives such insane value on both sides, I think that Jacob Halkin will be put into a lot of decks that are looking to increase their value engine, increase their options in hand. And the fact that the flip side plays cards without you paying any mana, I mean, I don't think there's any more value that you can ask in a blue card. So I think Jacob Halkin will rise up in the future, and you know, if he ever makes an appearance on game nights, he will definitely just shoot up in terms of price. So I think if you have a blue commander deck that you're kind of thinking, well, what card do I need to kind of speed up this deck, I think Jacob Halkin is a card that you're looking for. Number 5 probably comes to no surprise. You've probably seen this in articles or other videos at this point, and it is by invitation only. Now, this card isn't a clean, or I should say it's not a all board wipe, but it will basically remove most threats, because if you're going to choose the number 13, that's probably going to get a good chunk of the board, if not all of it. And most importantly, it has the word of sacrifice in it, as opposed to destroy or exile. So cards like Heroic Intervention actually don't work, because you have to sacrifice as opposed to destroy or target. So I think this card gives a unique perspective in white commander decks to kind of control the board in a way that maybe their deck doesn't compete as well in terms of token decks or bigger creatures and stuff like that. So I think by invitation only will be a card that spikes up in value, as Heroic Intervention has become almost a must-have in green creature decks, whether you're token or not token. So if you are thinking about a solid board wipe that handles creatures very well, I think by invitation only is a card you want to pick up as soon as possible. At number 4, we have Gloria Sunrise. Now, if you played against this enchantment in Limited, you know how strong it is. It just gives so many options. It pressures, it gives card advantage. It does a lot. And I think whether you are an enchantment deck or creature deck, this card is good in either type of commander deck. It just gives so many options, and I think even token decks will include this because of the +1/+1 and trample that it gives pre-combat. And so I think this is another card that will continue to grow in price over time. It's a unique enchantment in that it is so versatile in the options that you get. It's both offensive and defensive, and you get to kind of decide how you want to pressure your opponents. You can even play the political game with this card and say, okay, I'm not going to do +1/+1 with my 20 tokens and pressure all of you, but you guys can't do this for X amount of turns. I think this card has that secret value on it in commander games. So if you're a token deck or a value deck or a creature deck or enchantment deck, I think this card will suit you very well, and it's a card that you should consider picking up. At number 3, I have Dreadfast Demon. Now, I originally didn't put this very high, and then I realized that it is very, very strong in the 99 by itself. It's just a flyer that pressures planeswalkers, that pressures life total, And the fact that you can start duplicating this card as you sack makes it very strong in a lot of different decks. Probably it is the strongest in token decks, where you just sack a token and say, all right, now I have more strong flyers, and it's just going to snowball out of control. Even if you have a creature that you like, but you start to realize, I just need to add even more pressure with flyers, this is a fantastic card in that scenario as well. It's almost a must-have in Kalia decks, I think, and it definitely does not go in Demon Tribal decks, but a lot of decks that aren't too worried about their archetype, or are more concerned about getting value and pressuring, this is a strong card, and I think this will become a staple in certain type of decks, and I think that's what makes it potentially increase in price and value in the future. And at number 2, I put Mirror Hall Mimic, and I was actually a little surprised about my number 2 choice in this, mainly because I'm just not a blue player personally, but with the arrival of Kamigawa coming up, and the kind of popularity of Sakashima that we got from Commander Legends, and this idea of copying has become, I would say, exponentially more popular, I think Mirror Hall Mimic falls under that category very well. Both sides are very strong in terms of what it wants to do. I think the flip side is even more insane, because you start making copies of a powerful creature that's not a legendary, and you just kind of take off from there. But the front side is you get basically the strongest creature that is currently on the board in terms of strength, value. So I think Mirror Hall Mimic is a card that will continue to go up in value, and I think will potentially spike even more so when we return to Kamigawa, where I think these copy-esque type effects will be even more popular. I suspect a Sakashima reprint or a Sakashima card that does something similar, and I think Mirror Hall Mimic will just kind of ride the coattails of that and just become a very, very good commander, potentially staple card in these type of copy esque decks. And at number 1, I put Path of Peril. I was shocked about my pick in this. I just realized that this card is very versatile, especially for decks that are running these colors. It's good against token decks, and it's good against, well, it's a board wipe when you pay the cleave cost. So I think in terms of board wipes, because this card is versatile and you can play political games with this, because you can, play the game of like, all right, decks with big creatures, I will not do the cleave for the full cost, but now you have to kind of, I'm asking for a favor. It really puts the pressure on token decks because of this. And if you happen to run into a table where it's very like aggro, like maybe people are playing goblins or tokens just all around you, it's good. Very good as an early drop board wipe. Puts the pressure on opponents in ways that maybe they didn't expect, because most board wipes tend to be about 4 mana or more, and the fact that this cost 1 less and that it has that political value on top of it, I think makes it a very, very strong contender, and I think will be a staple in terms of board wipes because of this. So those are my top 10 cards I think you should pick up for Crimson Vow. Now, I understand that there's probably a wiggle room. I thought about a lot of cards that I thought could be on here. You could probably swap the ranking of these top 10 cards around. But I would love to hear your thoughts about Crimson Vow cards that you think are going to be commander staples, that you think will shoot up, whether it's in the near future or the long-term future. And most importantly, I would like to see kind of what commander decks that you guys are playing that, and cards that you were excited to see in Crimson Vow that upgrade those commander decks. So, can leave that all in the comments down below. And of course, if you're still here, that means you enjoyed my content. So be sure to subscribe, like this video, hit that notification bell. And of course, follow me on Twitch, where I'm doing all sorts of games. Of course, we're playing Magic. So yeah, I'm really, really grateful that you guys want to see more videos like this where it's a little bit more commentary. I will be doing a limited guide, actually doing multiple of those as I kind of figure out the Crimson Vow limited environment a little bit more, and give you guys my thoughts on cards that you should be looking out for, combos, and the archetype. So stay tuned for that. Just want to say thank y'all so much for watching, and of course, I'll see you for the next Nerd Fail.